It started with a letter. Not an email, not a friendly knock on the door, a laminated note taped to my mailbox like a scarlet letter. Notice of violation. Unauthorized use of common property. Common property. They meant the lake. The same lake that was written into my deed. The one that made me fall in love with the house in the first place. I was out fishing when I first met her, Carol Whitmore, HOA president, clipboard warrior, and self-proclaimed queen of Lakeshore Estates. She strutted down the path with the confidence of someone who believed God had personally given her dominion over suburban life. "Sir," she said, voice sharp enough to cut glass, "you're trespassing." I blinked. "On my own dock." "Technically," she sniffed, "the lake is community property. You need HOA approval to engage in recreational activity." I actually laughed. "You're kidding, right?" She wasn't. And that's when I realized this wasn't a neighborhood. It was a kingdom, and Carol ruled it like a dictator with a clipboard. 3 days later, the fine started. $200 for unauthorized activity. $300 for noncompliance. $500 for hostile communication. Apparently, saying, "I own part of this lake," Carol, counted as an act of war. That night, under my porch light, I flipped through the HOA handbook, 57 pages of tyranny printed in Comic Sans, until I found it. Waterfront homeowners shall maintain, but not obstruct, their deeded access to Lake Whitmore. Deeded. Legal. Mine. So, I sent Carol a copy of my deed with a polite note. Her response? One line. "We will review this at the next board meeting." Translation. "We'll make your life hell until you give up." I went to that meeting, fluorescent lights, bad coffee, folding chairs. Carol sat in the middle like she was about to announce the 10 Commandments. When I presented my paperwork, she said, "We believe the previous surveyor was mistaken." Mistaken? I asked. "You think the county just guessed where the water line is?" Bob, the treasurer, a man who looked permanently startled, muttered, "We prefer cooperation, not confrontation." "Perfect," I said. "Then stop trespassing on my deed." Carol leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "If you continue to argue, we'll escalate legally." I smiled. "Please do." That was the moment I decided I wasn't just going to fight back. I was going to end her little empire. 2 weeks later, I got another envelope. A cease and desist. Signed by their attorney. Only problem? That attorney was my old college roommate. When I called my old roommate, Derek, he nearly choked laughing. "They hired me to threaten you? Man, this is poetic."
"Play along," I said.
"I want to see how far they'll go." That's when I learned the golden rule of HOA warfare. 90% bluff, 10% paperwork. So I fought back by the book. I filed a dispute with the county, attached my deed, and then hung a massive sign on my dock. Private property. Deed recorded. The next morning, Carol stormed down the path, raincoat flapping like a cape. "You can't post signage without HOA approval." I pointed to the handbook. Section 12, paragraph B. Safety or legal signage permitted. Which this is. Her mouth opened. Closed. "You're abusing the rules." "No," I said. "I'm finally using them." After that, the petty war began. Weekly inspections. My mailbox paint, my grass height, even my garden gnome's facial expression. Each inspection came with a new fine. I didn't pay a cent. Instead, I documented every visit, every email, every fake citation. Then I uploaded everything anonymously to a local Facebook group. By midnight, the post exploded. Dozens of neighbors chimed in, stories of harassment, missing funds, absurd fines. Everyone had a Carol story. When the mob of homeowners started talking, cracks formed. I officially requested the HOA's financial records. Carol ignored me. I sent another request, certified mail. Still lost. Then one night, an unmarked envelope appeared on my porch. Inside, copies of invoices, thousands of dollars paid to a company called Lakeshore Consulting LLC, a company owned by Carol's brother-in-law. Suddenly, this wasn't just a feud, it was a scandal. The next board meeting was in 3 days. And this time, I wasn't showing up angry. I was showing up armed with evidence. The meeting was chaos before it even started. Carol banged the gavel, trying to hold the room. I waited until she finished her sanctimonious community harmony speech. Then I stood. "Why?" I asked, holding up the invoices. "Did the HOA pay $18,000 to your brother-in-law for reports that don't exist?" The silence that followed could have sunk the dock. Carol's face went pale. "That's confidential," she snapped. "Not when every homeowner's paying for it," I said. The room erupted. Neighbors shouting. Bob's pen fell to the floor. Someone yelled, "Where's our money, Carol?" And just like that, her control evaporated. Within a week, half the neighborhood backed me. We called for a vote of no confidence. But I didn't stop there. Because during my late-night research, I discovered something wild. HOAs aren't mystical forces. They're corporations, and corporations can be bought. All I needed were enough proxy votes. Within a month, I had 38% of the voting power, enough to call a special election. The night before the vote, Carol showed up at my door, rain dripping from her blazer. "You're destroying this community," she said. "No," I replied. "I'm saving it." She stared at me, eyes hard. "You'll regret this." I smiled. "Not as much as you will." The next day, we held the vote. Reporters came. Neighbors crowded in. The result, 61% voted her out. Cheers, champagne, and chaos. Carol's reign was over. But when we accessed the records, we found one more twist. That consulting firm? They'd quietly leased the lakefront, including the water rights, to a private club, which meant the HOA no longer owned the lake. And I could buy it.
So I did.
Every shimmering square foot. 2 weeks later, Carol opened her mailbox to find a certified letter. Not a fine, a notice of property transfer. Signed by me. When she showed up, she looked broken. "You can't own the lake," she whispered. "Technically," I said, "I own the water rights and easement, which means you can't regulate it." Summer rolled around. Kids played by the water again. No more patrols. No more fines. Just peace. I hosted a neighborhood barbecue. Even Bob and Linda came. Carol didn't. As the sun set over my lake, I thought about all of it. The letters, the meetings, the games. Revenge, I realized, isn't always destruction. Sometimes it's restoration. Still, I framed the headline. HOA president ousted after neighbor buys the lake. A month later, the new president, Marcus, sent a polite letter. "Would you consider joining the board?" I laughed. "No thanks. I already own your meeting spot." Now, every morning, I cast my line into the quiet water. Carol walks her dog on the far side, pretending not to see me. And I just smile because justice, like fishing, takes patience. They tried to ban me from my own lake. So I bought the damn thing. And peace came with the deed.